Hey everyone, special shout out to David Haskell. Thank you for everything you do to stand in defense of freedom of speech and for becoming a candidate for the PPC. I believe you'll be an excellent voice and representative for the people in your riding. Headline out of Breitbart News, Canadian professor runs for office to promote student speech rights. It's been reported by Tom Sikota, August 1st, 2019. Canadian professor David Haskell of Wilfrid Laurier University is running for office to save academia from leftists. According to a report by the College Fix, Professor David Haskell of Wilfrid Laurier University is running for Canadian Parliament, in part to rein in the excesses of the political left on college campuses. Breitbart News first reported on Haskell in the aftermath of the Lindsay Shepherd debacle at Wilfrid Laurier University. Shepherd, a teaching assistant, was accused by university officials of breaking Canadian law after she showed her class a clip of Jordan Peterson on public television. Now, Haskell has taken his student rights advocacy to the next level. Haskell told the College Fix that he wants to put an end to identity politics in academia. And I definitely support you in that endeavor, David. My concerns were things like identity politics. I wanted to be able to say that we've got to stop the tribalism that's developing in our country. Haskell said, merit and competency should be the only criteria by which someone advances, not some external characteristic. In 2017, Haskell penned a column comparing the current state of academia to the environment that prompted Martin Luther's famous 95 thesis. On the 500th anniversary of Luther's heretical act, I'm overwhelmed by the sense that half a millennium later, history is repeating itself, and this time Canada, not Germany, is the site of the action. Many of our politicians, academics, and national journalists have joined together, sometimes informally but increasingly by design, to enforce a cultural hegemony. Theirs is a left-leaning hegemony, informed by cultural Marxism. Evidence of its Marxist pedigree is its total intolerance of dissenting views. Professor Herbert Marcuse, one of the key architects of cultural Marxism and a hero of today's radical left, advised followers that when dealing with those to the political right, they should seek to censor them outright, stopping the words and images which feeds this consciousness. Haskell states on his campaign website that he will fight for individual freedom and personal responsibility. Haskell, who has said that his experience in academia was the primary motivator behind his run for office, will face off in a vote in October 21st for a seat in Parliament. So I'm very appreciative to see that Breitbart News is covering this in a manner that, obviously is nothing aligned what you would see presented by, those who are contributors to the CBC or the established media list in this country. You know how they'd be painting it, and you know how they've painted the PPC or the candidates so far. They're basically those who represent the ruling establishment, which are those who are part and parcel of the media class in this country, the establishment media class in this country. Yes, they're desperate, and you see this not just on the legislation brought in and implemented by the Liberals to try to silence and suppress alternative news or voices out there in the social media landscape, and all the little spies or disinformation agents they have out there watching everything you do to make sure you don't say anything negative against dear leader, right? Yeah, that's how disgusting this country is today as far as political discourse. You have these leftist radicals now basically running the show and have all the tools and bureaucracy and institution at their disposal that they can use as a means to silence and suppress anyone's voice that counters them or offers a different perspective. And it's not just David, and it's not just me. There are a whole lot of Canadians, and more every day, that are saying, no, we're done with this kind of insanity, this kind of identity politics, this kind of divisiveness, this kind of political posturing, which is meant to silence and suppress an entire section, an entire segment of the entire Canadian culture or Canadian population. No, we will not allow this to continue any longer. It's time for Canadians to have something to stand for, truly to stand for, and to unite behind. And the only way you get people to truly unite is by promoting genuine individual rights, freedom, and liberty. That is something that all people can get behind, and not just unite under, but gives them a genuine sense of meaning and purpose that's worth fighting for. What you're seeing offered out there by these authoritarian collectivists is nothing but mindless conformity, obedience, subjugation, indentured servitude, and the promise of safety and security that can only ever truly be implemented by smothering you. Like I've said so many times in the past, folks, I'd rather live in a country that has some minor potential dangers but respects my sovereignty and my individual rights, freedom, and liberty, rather than feel this false sense of security or safety by a very authoritarian regime that seeks to deny my freedom, and all it really does at the end of the day is give these authoritarians a whole lot more power over our social and economic lives. Like I say, I'll take unsecured freedom over a false sense of security that only actually genuinely could possibly exist as if I'm locked up or imprisoned, not just in my mind, but in my body as well. Because really, that's the only way that these central planners can ever promise you that you are fully safe and secure, is to basically enslave you, not just in your mind, but in your physical capacity as well. More and more Canadians are saying, no, I'm an adult and I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I choose liberty, and I prefer to take up the mantle of securing my own future rather than leaving that in the hands of some authoritarian central planner. Individual liberty requires personal responsibility. So the choice is give up your independence, give up your sovereignty, give up your liberty, and allow these authoritarian collectivists to micromanage and dictate every area of your social or economic lives, or to show some resilience, to stiffen up that backbone and say, no, I'm going to take that task and assume that task, that role, that responsibility on myself, because hey, I'm an adult after all. And all I require from government is that you keep authoritarians at bay and leave me the hell alone. I can take care of the rest. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.